what was it that really, really, I guess, made you get you to understand that, okay, I'm doing something wrong here? Like what kind of happened that brought that to your attention?
Well, one, I got burnt out towards the end. I got really burnt out because I made $75 directly from the podcast. I had a friend who reached out to me, said he wanted to sponsor the show. I said, cool. But so $75 over the course of like 2.5 years in terms of the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. I was able to get some speaking gigs, but I really got burnt out. And then I realized that I didn't have a connection. I didn't have a real connection with my audience. I didn't know who my real audience was.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So that was the part to where it really showed me. It was like this, you're missing a piece somewhere. A T is not crossed, the I is not dotted. But yeah, man. And I think that that's a place where a lot of people go wrong, right? Because they think that their target audience are these people. And then they realize that the content that they're sharing isn't even applying to them.
Okay. So you first came to realize that you didn't know who your audience really was. That was the first realization.
Well, so my audience was millennials, right? And this is the part where it gets good, because my audience was millennials.
Okay.
But in terms of me turning a profit or being able to, get paid,
right?
Who is going to pay for me to talk about millennials? It would have been somebody in corporate, but I was speaking at colleges. You see the disconnect?
Oh,
yeah. It's a disconnect. It's a disconnect. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Okay. So I got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, because I have some friends who do tutoring, and that was a question I asked them at one time before, because I'm asking, like, is your audience really the kids, or is it parents, or is it the schools, right? You know what I mean? Because that's who you really, that's the people with the bag, essentially, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's a really good point. That's a really good point. So now, with that being said, right, because you are the podcast mentor, you've learned these lessons over the course of time. And I remember, one of the episodes for your, specifically because I know you have done different podcasts, right? But I know right now you definitely have the your podcast mentor show with Jonathan Jones, right?
Yeah, that's it. Appreciate you.
So you know what I mean? It's fire. Look, I'll be listening to the episodes, okay? Because they be good, okay? He be dropping some gems. So look, if you're not on it, make sure you head over, stream it everywhere, right? You know what I'm saying? And go and get on your podcast mentor show, right? But we got you here now, you know what I'm saying? So I remember one episode you were talking about defining your audience, right? Can you share, right? Based on kind of what you said, you find out that you didn't really know who you were speaking to. How can we as podcasters, right, really get very defined on who our audience is? Because I guess in general, the background of that is most time we are feeling like, well, everybody's my audience, right? You know what I'm saying? This is for anybody, right? You know what I mean? So I guess the first question is, why is that not a good way to build a podcast, first and foremost? And then two, how can we then really get defined on who our audience is?
Okay, so I'm gonna tie in defining your audience, and I'm gonna tie it in with niching down. So So for instance, like, let's think about McDonald's. We know McDonald's, and McDonald's has been around with a Big Mac for a very long time.
Yeah, true.
The Big Mac. You say McDonald's, you're thinking burger and fries, period. Yeah. But if you ask what's the first burger that comes to mind, it's gonna be like a Big Mac, more than likely.
Yeah.
All right. So why is that so important? Because they understand that the people that we're servicing, this is what they want. They want something quick and fast, period. And so in terms of identifying your audience, you have to know what it is that you have to offer. And then you have to know who needs it. For instance, I'm a real mature example of tutors, right? Tutors know that potentially first generation kids may struggle a little bit more adjusting versus kids whose parents they're used to seeing, their parents went to college and stuff like that. So their target audience could be the first generation student. But if the first generation student is in middle school, high school, they might not have the money. So their target client would be the parent, or the school district. And
thanks for watching the Lion and Lambo podcast. We hope this clip has been a huge blessing to you. And we want to remind you that we drop new videos, new podcast episodes every Sunday at 9 o'clock. You can find the full episode by clicking the card up at the top right of this video. If you prefer an audio only experience, then we want to let you know that we're streaming through every major podcast streaming platform. For the full list, you can go to www.lionandthelambo.com. Until next time, go impact the world.